The Diddy Party legend continues tonight at 8 p.m. 7 Central.
Welcome back to Eye of the Storm, where we provide you with legal and social commentary on popular issues, giving you an inside perspective from a legal perspective and a social angle. Today we're going to be talking about the Diddy case. And as you know, the Diddy case, yes, it's just, let's call it the latest in a long line of cases, right? Over the years, we've looked at cases like Harvey Weinstein, the guy from Squid Game, Andrew Tate, Mason Greenwood, Adam Johnson. We've done many of these cases, and we looked at these cases through the prism of understanding that consent is a myth. Why is consent a myth? Consent is a myth because it is something that you can be given, and then the person who gives you the consent can withdraw it at any time, and it would be as though it was never given in the first place. So consent in itself is a legal fiction. If I give you some money, right? You issue me a receipt. The receipt is proof that money had been given to me, right? But in terms of consent, a lot of times it says my word against your word, because these conversations, A, never happen. If they do, it's rare. B, as I said, the permission can be rescinded. And another aspect is that because the conversation isn't had, you have things like green lights, red flags, you have body language. Oh, she took her panties off, therefore I thought I had consent. Well, sir, you didn't. So looking at that and going down, of course, this conversation we started having it more seriously because of Harvey Weinstein and the Me Too movement. Me Too movement has almost been 10 years, and we're still going forward. So the Me Too movement presents a new legal precedent that has affected us, that has affected gender dynamics forever. So this case against Diddy is just the latest in the long line. The summary is this, guys. This is what you need to know before we go into the deeper details. Everybody in the Diddy case is a willing participant. They all got paid in cash or kind. Nobody was dragged from their homes, minding their own business. Nobody was dragged into the situation. Everybody who participated understood that there was something to be gained, whether it's fame, whether it's the joy of the participation, whether it's money. They willingly came into the scenario and willingly participated in whatever activities we're going to be discussing. The only problem now is that the consent to participate in the activities has been withdrawn. That's where this case comes in. The consent has been withdrawn, and also we'll look at the charges of Diddy, and we'll see that the law has not yet caught up to, let's call it, intergender dynamics. What do I mean? Okay, there's a law called human trafficking. Let's show you so that we don't speak in parables. So this is the Mann Act, or let's call it White Slave Act of 1910. So this is what it says. The act makes it a felony to engage in interstate or foreign commerce transport of any woman or girl for the purpose of prostitution or debauchery or for any other immoral purpose. Now, foreign commerce transport interstate for prostitution, debauchery, or any other moral purpose. Now, this, for God's sake, this is a crime. And it was a crime in 1910. Now, this is what women are doing constantly on a daily basis because, for example, Harvey Weinstein, he became a movie producer. He wants to sleep with actresses. And he says, look, sleep with me, you will get this role. The role is going to pay you $20 million. And there are 9 other women who are willing to get this role. But you sleep with me, you get the role, you get $20 million, you get your invite to the Met Gala. And the woman says yes. For God's sake, Harvey Weinstein is the greatest practitioner of consent ever. One, she agrees, he makes the offer, she accepts. Two, she gets paid. Right? Now, women are posting themselves on Instagram. Right? Women are posting themselves on Instagram like this. And invariably, they get flown out. They get offers like, let's see, yacht girls. Right? Right? So, invariably, girls like this, women like this, what's her name? Emily Ratajkowski is a yacht girl. The point, guys, is that if you fly a girl out, whether from a state in your country or from another country, that is a crime. And it has been a crime for more than 100 years. My point is that this law has not yet caught up to modern dating realities. So the good old days where romance could just be something about love and genuine attraction. Today, women are monetized. Shout out to Coach Greg Adams. Women are monetized, so you have to pay for those things that you want to do with women. You have to give them some kind of money, right? So the B part is that you don't want to be involved with somebody who lives in your locality, who knows where you work, who has who would have sufficient information against you to tarnish your reputation the way men's reputations have been tarnished. So what do? You fly a girl in from outside, you pay her for her transportation, you pay her for her accommodation, you pay her for her service, you send her back on her way. This is a crime. That brings us conveniently to Diddy. We'll go very quickly over the full timeline of the allegations, baby oil freak-offs, and casting video. We'll look at the charges. We'll see what his case is and how we can craft a defense for it here. But if the Fed's allegations are true, it may just be all the unlimited cash, unchecked power, and the Hollywood privilege that goes along with it that landed Diddy where he now sits. Now, I want you to see the intersection between legal discourse and social discourse. That's why this channel is called Legal and Social Commentary, because the media are inserting non-legal concepts like power, unchecked power. That doesn't mean anything in a legal context. It doesn't mean anything in a legal context. It has no meaning. Unchecked power or power is not an element of the crime. Where do you see power here? There's no power here. Like, if you look at the charges, let's look at the charges. So, one count of racketeering, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and then 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. What does power have to do with that? Your local sidewalk pimp can be charged and is routinely charged with these crimes. So, why are you bringing this in? Because this is actually a gendered discussion. Gendered in the sense that this is about men and women. This is, as I said, this is an extension of Harvey Weinstein. Look at this act. This act says the transportation of women or girls. So it is gendered in its conception. There is no other dimension to it. It's purely gendered. The woman is always seen as the victim. So let's continue. So he's facing a slew, it's just 5 charges, of racketeering and sex trafficking charges that accuse him of presiding over a sordid empire of sexual crimes and physical abuse. Now, there is no physical abuse here. There's no physical abuse listed, but it's being mentioned. Why? Because it's gendered. This is not just a case against Diddy. This is clearly a targeted attack against his character, a targeted assassination of his character, and I'll show you why. So, she sues him for abuse and rape. This is a civil suit, this is not a criminal suit. And the reason why she didn't bring a criminal suit is because criminally, She can't prove rape because the gap in time is too great. One. Two, she can't bring a criminal suit because she consented. They were in a consensual sexual relationship. The people who get tried normally, the people who get tried and convicted for rape are the people who go and drag a poor girl off the street and rape her, and then maybe the girl identifies a rapist or the rapist gets caught in the act or something. But for the sake of Christ, this is a woman who is in a loving sexual relationship with this man. But now she comes out and says, "Oh, he raped me. This man was raping me. How?" So as Coach Greg Adams likes to say, lawsuits are the new divorce. They were together since 2007. She sues him in 2023, 16 years. He never marries her, never gives her a child. So there's nothing tying them together after their on again, off again romance ends finally. She gets married to somebody else. She gets married to somebody else and turns around to sue him, to sue Diddy. Why? Because she needs something. She wants something from him. She can't have spent all this time with him. This is how women think. She can't have spent all this time with him and not gotten something in return. Normally, a woman who spends 15 years with a man will get a child or a marriage. A child or a marriage entitles a woman to something. If she gets a child, she gets child support. If she's married, she can get alimony and or child support and or a divorce settlement. Eddie Murphy's wife got what, 14 million? You can list off all the divorce settlements you've heard of. The highest divorce settlement I've heard of, obviously, Jeff Bezos, Melinda Gates, all these women. So think about that. Melinda Gates and Mackenzie Bezos, they got somewhere around 40, maybe $30 billion, something like that. So Cassie, at her own level too, believes that she is entitled to a portion of his wealth. So she asked for, I think, that 50 million. She got roughly 30 in the settlement. He settled the suit, and we'll see how it keeps going. So she says in the lawsuit. So she says she calls me a rapper. It's a lifetime achievement support. He mentioned Cassie in 2022. 2022, he says, I thank Cassie for holding me down in dark times, my love. Right? So she says that this is so funny. Let's read the paragraphs again. I love American lawsuits. So funny. They're so funny. So in 2022, Mr. Combs, or Diddy, received the Lifetime Achievement Award at the BET Awards. During his acceptance speech, Diddy said, "I have to give a special shout out, thank you, love, to the people that was really there for me. I apologize for the English." He named a number of people before adding, "and also Cassie for holding me down in the dark times, love." Holding me down is a black phrase for support and emotional, financial, and other forms of support. Now, paragraph 3. The truth, however, is that Cassie, the claimant, was held down by Diddy and endured over a decade of his violent behavior and disturbed demands. You see how the language changes. What she was participating in, she now endured. Because as we know from domestic violence is usually two-sided. Both parties normally participate. There have been incidences where Cassie hit Diddy, broke a phone on his head, stuff like this. And he too would also have his fits of violent behavior. So it's usually mutual. And a lot of times, 80% of the time, it is initiated by the woman. So Cassie, she says the dark times was where she was trapped by Diddy in a cycle of abuse, violence, and sex trafficking. So now, your boyfriend, with whom you were together for 10 years, he was trafficking you. And as I've always said, I mentioned here that there's a disconnect between the law and the reality, right? Because women are willingly encouraged and they are willingly participating in this activity. Now, what do we call it? Trafficking. As we all know, when you hear the word trafficking, if you've watched movies or if you think about it, trafficking, you think of Eastern European guys smuggling people like Nico Bellic. I'm the one who survived. You're thinking of people like this who traffic in human beings.
I'm the one who survived.
I steal people, I smuggle people, They're thinking of that. People with guns who are keeping young girls and women and people generally inside containers, moving people around the world. But here is just someone being flown out on a private jet, or in Cassie's case, someone who is just dating Diddy and then maybe she has to go for a modeling shoot somewhere and he flies her in so they can have a freak off. She's calling that trafficking. So let's move along very quickly. So he says that he plied her with drugs, forced her to have sex with other men, and raped her in her home. But as we see from the trial, if you guys are following the trial, she is the one who invited him round. She is the one who says they should keep up the relationship. She cheated on her current husband with Diddy. Having knowledge of that, how then do we qualify what we're reading here? The lawsuit is settled. Terms of the agreement are confidential. $30 million, allegedly, right? She has more from the armed candy body to soccer mom, right here. So she needs $30 million to make that transition because she has spent her youth from 19 to, let's say, 31, whatever the case was. So she's happy. She has collected $37 million, and she's still going back to the court to testify against Diddy. Isn't that strange? What was the point of settling, of giving her 30 million? These boobs are not real. These are enhanced, so they must have been paid for. Other women start coming out, and this is the what's the word? This is the pattern. The pattern is once one woman comes out against you, other women will come out against you. It's kind of like a lottery. Since Cassie got 30 million, the other one say, okay, maybe I can get 10, maybe I can get 2, maybe I can get 1, whatever the case may be. Someone will come from the 90s. Someone will come from the 90s to say that, yeah, he did something to me. We don't know the status of these cases because there are so many, but a lot of them we only hear when the case was filed or when the case has been publicized. We rarely ever hear that, yeah, this case was thrown out for lack of evidence. This case was thrown out for lacking in merit. We only hear the part where the accusation comes in. As I said, there is a media pattern of besmirching and destroying and antagonizing and defaming men. Your judgment is already being passed before you even get to the court. So he steps down from his role as chairman of his TV network. That's a problem. So another woman comes in and says that when she was 17, she was raped allegedly by Diddy. And it's very difficult to prove. But again, they file a civil suit. She was given drugs and alcohol. Now, as we learned from the Jay-Z case, the woman went there of her own volition. She snuck in. She got past by herself. And a lot of these people who claim to be underage, they present themselves in a different way in order to get past the barriers of entry to these places. So they put themselves out there to be trafficked. Where are they? They put themselves in this position. You always wonder, right? You always wonder if you watch a music video of all these girls, right? You watch. Let's watch a music video just to break up the pace. Let's say this is the video that made me think about it. Okay, now you see this shot here. You have girl 1, 2, 3, 4, right? We don't know these girls' names. We don't know who they are. We do not know who they are. But basically, the video is, of course, painting a picture of it's everyday, bro. I'm in my crib, $7 million, all these hot chicks. The thing is, one, we know these women don't live in this house. This is not their place of abode, right? Oh, let's stop at this shot. We know this is not their place. This is not their place of abode. But we have a girl with a really nice ass here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They don't live here. So the question is, who are they? Where do they live? Where are they coming from? How did they get here? Right? And what is their purpose here? Why are they here? Why are they here? Are they here just to sit down by the pool and just color the place? Or do they serve some other purpose? Let's call that purpose debauchery or some other immoral purpose, right? Now, if these women come out tomorrow and say they were trafficked, then the state will look and say, okay, where do you live? I live in Tennessee. this video is in California. He had sex with me in California. They brought me down here for the purpose of having sex with me. I've been trafficked. But how do we contact you to get you here, buck naked, sitting by the pool, relaxing? How did we get you here? We got you here because you made yourself available. You made yourself available on Instagram. That's what happened. You made yourself available. You put yourself out there that, look, I'm available. I provide this kind of services. Fly me out. These are my fees. These are my rates. But nobody is confident. Nobody is comfortable talking about it. Who talked about it? Logan Paul talked about
it. Spot in Ibiza and
so then Ibiza.
Back 5 minutes later, 1,500.
1,500. Let's set the scene. Let them set the scene. Logan can talk about it because he's a celebrity. Mike is a drug addict, so he can talk about it.
Every single girl. I said, brother, that's not possible.
There's no way.
There's no way. These are stunning, stunning women. I said that's not possible. So I said those two over there, it's not possible. Me and Logan been looking, saying, yo, these girls are absolutely stunning. He walks over, has a conversation, comes back 5 minutes later, 1,500. I said, what the fuck did you just say to me? 1,500. And a flight to Vienna after. I said, what?
1,500 and a flight to Vienna. So, so what are you talking about, right? Just listen. The girls are offering themselves for the purpose of debauchery, and they're even including commercial transportation, inter-country, foreign. They're in Ibiza. The girls are in Ibiza. And they're saying, oh yes, even after you've had sex with me, you have to pay for my flight back to Vienna, Austria. We're in Ibiza, Spain, but you have to fly me back to Austria. So please, it is important for you guys to understand what is going on here. Remember, these are the charges. Racketeering conspiracy. Diddy is being charged by himself. How do you prove the conspiracy by yourself? That's illegal fiction right there. 2, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Cassie is a witness to that, and they're going into the sordid details of how Diddy gets a sex worker to have sex with Cassie, and he watches or records, after which Diddy has sex with Cassie, and then that's basically how it works. And then they do that for nights on end. The highest she said was 4 days. But as we hear from her testimony, we can put things together and understand that she broke things off with Diddy. She was able to go and establish a new relationship with her physical trainer, who Diddy hired for her. So she runs off with him and begins a sexual relationship. No threats to him. Nothing happened. They had their relationship. She admits that she cheated on him with Diddy, the man who is now her husband. Right? And she was notably angry when Diddy started saying Young Miami and Daphne Joy. So, what we have, we're talking about a huge legal federal case, and the crux of it is just a sexual relationship between a man and a woman, and the woman is jealous. That's basically it. So let's continue. So, music producer files a suit saying that he was forced to have sex with a guy, which is just strange. Pure fiction is correct. I agree. So his house gets raided. They find the bottles of baby oil, and then his son is being sued as well. And then CNN releases the video of Diddy allegedly hitting Ventura, of which we know, and it won't be covered here. It won't be covered here, but actually in this incident, Cassie hit Diddy first, and then he went back to her. But I want you to see something here. The lawsuit alleges that Diddy paid $50,000 to take away the video, and the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office stated that Los Angeles District Attorney's Office stated that they cannot prosecute Diddy for the attack. No case has been presented to the prosecutors. So this that we're seeing that people are relying on this video to call Diddy a monster, to accuse him, to label him as guilty of all crimes alleged. Nobody is even taking the case to court. No case has been presented. So another thing that you guys must realize is there is a gap between the act and the conviction. And around the act is a lot of things, right? We see this video here of him allegedly hitting this woman, but you can see she has a bag, she has all these things. So that means she had time to pack up all these things. And the B part is, he's on his own side of the story. His representatives came out and said that she hit him first. And we know that 80% of the time, domestic violence is instigated by the woman. But we don't see that here. And we need to understand that these qualifications do exist. We must acknowledge and recognize them. So, he had to return the key to the city, to the city of New York. Very strange. And then he's sued by another singer, Don Richard, for psychological and physical abuse. We don't really know what this means. It's a phrase that people use all the time. We're not actually sure what this means. Nobody can define it. This phrase here, psychological and physical abuse, cannot be defined. It's just a bunch of feelings. Anyway, physical, including groping, that she says she suffered as he helped launch her career. This sounds very familiar to me. There was a woman called Mandy Moore. Let's get her. Mandy Moore. She was married to a man called Ryan Adams. Yes. Now, she said that, let's see if I can, I think the best place to get it is the Daily Stormer. Yeah, this is the most important. It is so perfect. So, just for you guys to see what is happening, this case is 2019. This is the story, and we're talking about help to launch her career, right? So Diddy is being sued by a woman who says that he did all these things as he helped launch a career. Well, in this case, this guy, he's a musician. This woman is also a musician / actress. And then he's had, so watch this. Ryan Adams is suffering major fallout after multiple women accused him of manipulative behavior. Is manipulative behavior a crime? Is that a crime? Is that a crime? And this is accusation. This is just an accusation. It's not a lawsuit. He hasn't been sued. They just accuse him. Right? Do you see it? So there's a difference between an accusation, a lawsuit, and a criminal complaint. But any of these things can ruin your life from a woman. Manipulative behavior, which is just general interrelationship dynamics. You want something from me, you want something from me, I want something from you. How do we get what we want out of each other? Some people call that manipulative behavior. Okay. They accused him of manipulative behavior and of pursuing female artists for sex. What? Okay. And, right. Because of this, he has been dropped by 3 major sponsors and had his upcoming album cancelled, and he has been dropped from radio airwaves and radio stations. Isn't that insane? Only from an accusation. No lawsuits, no criminal charges, they just came out and said. And all this economic thing is happening to him. Now, I want to show you something, because his wife says that she got married to him very young at the age of 24. 24 is not a young person to marry. She's like, stop. You're an adult at 18, so 24, you're pretty much an old woman. Okay, here it is. This is why I love the Daily Stormer. Now, remember I said that psychological abuse and physical abuse has no meaning? Watch this. So, as I said, this woman accuses this man of psychological abuse, right? So this is what she said. She said, and he lashed out in ways that more came to consider psychologically abusive. Are you saying she came to consider psychological abusive? So at the time when it's happening, she doesn't consider it psychological abusive. She understands that this is a part of a relationship dynamic where people just have conversations, and I may not like what my husband is saying, but he said it and he's my husband, so I have to listen to him. But by the time she's getting a divorce, by the time she's removing herself from relationships, she turns around to say, okay, that conversation that we had, I consider that to be psychological abusive. And we ask, what happened? What did he say to you, Mandy Moore, that you consider to be psychological abusive? Well, here it is. She said that he lauded his artistic accomplishments over her. That is, at some point in the relationship, he said, I'm better than you. Right? And then he said he would, and then she said he would always tell me, "You are not a you are not a real musician because you don't play an instrument." One, that is just true, but she's calling it psychologically abusive. He said, "You are not a real musician because you don't play an instrument." That is what the woman is calling psychological abuse. Him giving her pointers on her career. Learn to do this. Learn to do that. Same thing this woman here is saying. Psychological abuse. We don't know what that means. But normally, when we ask women to tell us, what do you mean by psychological abuse? The answer they give is usually. So, he's arrested, he applies for bail, Kid Cudi comes to court and snitches on Diddy, no problem. And then we are where we are today. So, this lawsuit, as I said, he asserted complete control over her personal and professional life, ensuring that her inability to escape his hold. How do you have an inability to escape someone's hold when you can enter into relationships with Kid Cudi, enter into relationships with your personal trainer, get married to a personal trainer? How is that possible? Anyways, details of this lawsuit, which Diddy settled for 30 million, came up in the criminal trial today. So it is, you can see it's very long, 112 paragraphs. I've not seen the full thing. I can't find the full thing, but it's fine. The most important thing, because that case is settled, the most important thing is this Diddy's ex-girlfriend. This is supposed to be 50 Cent's, the mother of 50 Cent's favorite son. Her name should be Daphne Joy. And she comes to court and expresses her jealousy over Diddy's public relationship with a rapper called Young Miami, while he kept her hidden. Right? So she is unhappy. This is a prosecution witness, by the way. She is unhappy that she didn't get the Cassie treatment. So Diddy is not walking around with her at the Met Gala. He's not taking her to all these exclusive events, right? So she's not happy with that. And then she says that she earns $10,000. She collects from Diddy $10,000 for monthly rents and additional funds for expenses. And she has expressed envy over Diddy buying expensive gifts for other women, anger and frustration, and a desire for romance. This is so funny because what does romance mean when you're living far above your means? You have designer bags, you have a sexual relationship. What then does romance mean? Does romance mean take me to these events? Is this romantic? Here we have a love contract. This is still the same Daphne Joy love contract. Scripted and recorded by Diddy. Orchestrated love encounters, whatever that means. Dozens of sexual encounters. Escorts flown in from various locations for live pornographic shows. That is what is happening here. interstate or foreign commerce. So people like to say, and obviously I've made a lot of social commentary on the origins of this case, the issues, social issues surrounding it. But when we now finally go into the law of it, we're realizing that if it is proven that the escorts, or I forget their names, are being flown from various locations, interstate, intercountry, there's proof of that. Like the proof, the proof of that is undeniable. Then he is definitely going for his trafficking. Where is it? Transportation to engage in prostitution. This definitely, he's going to jail for this one. There's no doubt about that. Because you're transporting people for the purpose of sex and you're paying them. And there's proof of payment. There's proof of payment. So, to cut the long story short, there is no doubt about it. He is guilty of this. Or, no. I'll take that back. He's not guilty of anything yet, but there is proof that he is transporting people for the purpose of engaging in prostitution. The only problem is, how can you, or how can we, still call that a crime when that is literally how the world works today? All these women, 20 million followers, all these women make themselves available for these parties where things happen. All these women. Everybody knows about Dubai. Everybody knows about Tag the sponsor. So, are all those people going to prison? So, as I said from the beginning, the law on trafficking, where is it? The law on trafficking has not yet taken cognizance of the reality that women are able and willing to move from state to state for the purpose of financial gain from men who are willing to pay. So how come a woman willingly participates, escorts willingly participate, and then the escorts are not being charged for any crime? The women, shall I say, are not being charged, but the person who organizes the freak off gets charged for a crime. Why? When the women are actually posting themselves and saying, look, I am this type of woman, I am available to come for your video shoots and for your award show and for your after party. Think about it in your own personal life. Whenever you go to a special event, a special occasion, you will see that you go for like a really high-end wedding of a very rich person, or just any other event, similar event, you will see some kind of women that you just don't see anywhere else. You don't see these women in your school, you don't see them at work, you don't see them in the supermarket, you only see them at events. Girls of a certain caliber. That's who these women are. Alright? So they just show, of course, in their bio, you see words like model, you may even see an OnlyFans link or something like this. But in general, this is what they're doing. They're escorting. That's why we come up with words like escort. That's where the word escort comes from. Because people were trying to get around this word of prostitution. Escort is simply a pseudonym for prostitutes. But we'll call it escort. So does the word escort have no meaning in context of trafficking? Because the word escort is created or was created to disguise what, as I've said, is a normal practice that people are doing today. But we don't want to call it prostitute because prostitutes indicates crime. But we're talking about two consenting adults, one of whom is being paid for a social interaction by the other person who is paying for the time. So, let's continue. She testified about physical and mental toll. There's no abuse here, including injuries, infections, exhaustion, while Diddy romanced other women. So, now, this is the crime here, allegedly. This is the alleged crime. Let's see, where is it? Escorts from various locations is a crime. But the rest of this is irrelevant. But she's going to testify on this. to assassinate his character, that he's a cheater, he's not monogamous, or whatever the case may be. But he's a rich man, he's not supposed to be monogamous. So after a trip to Turks and Caicos led to another group sex night, Daphne Joy wanted to leave, but instead agreed to a love contract. Agreed. Agreed to a love contract with Diddy, receiving 10,000 a month to remain in his life. She used the money to rent a home for her and her child. Remember, her child, 50 Cent is paying for this child. Remember that. 50 Cent is paying child support for this child. And Diddy also furnished the house and paid for her teeth. This is the person who is coming to court to testify against him about escorts flown from various locations. You agree to a love contract. You agree to participate in sexual encounters for 10,000 a month. So just understand something. This is not, and you hear a lot of commentary, people saying, "Oh, black men, Diddy went against the liquor companies, so they're attacking him because he's black." And people forget that Harvey Weinstein is currently in prison, serving a sentence. Harvey Weinstein is not only quote unquote white, he's also Jewish, and he is in prison for literally similar things. And the women he had sex with, he gave them even more money, and their cases against him were even more flimsy. Because, for God's sake, you sleep with Harvey Weinstein, you get $2 or $3 million to do the movie, sometimes 9, sometimes 20 million. You get awards, you move on with your life, and then you turn around and say, "Yeah, I was raped," or whatever. Here, she enters a love contract. Do you remember anything about consent? Do you remember what we said about consent in the beginning of this video? Do you remember what we said about consent? It's a hoax. It's a legal fiction. It is a love contract. She entered a love contract, but she still has the right to rescind her participation. So truly, this case, this thing is a battle of words. The battle of words, the battle of laws, the battle of men and women, the battle of emotions. But we're not understanding each other very well. The law, which relies on words, does not understand that as a man, you want to have sex with women, and you will want to fly them in from outside. But the law says, no, you can't do that. So it's like, how then do we have sex? Sex for men is a base, vulgar need. And we're not going to go around raping people. So we pay people to have sex with them. But you say even that is a crime. So what do you want us to do? What do you want us to do? Anyway. So the judge reprimands Diddy for staring at jurors and nodding. Okay, yeah, you shouldn't look at the jury. Try to avoid that. Brianna Bungle, and I've not heard of this woman. And then she says that he dangled her over a 17th floor balcony in Los Angeles and shoved her into furniture. And she's a drug dealer. Now, what does this? He dangled her over a 17th floor balcony allegedly. What does this have to do with the charges? Oh, I guess sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, I guess. So maybe that's where that comes in. But there's nothing here. Brianna Bungalan is a drug dealer. So she's a friend and drug dealer to Cassie Ventura. So Cassie takes drugs. But she earlier said that she was being forced to take drugs. So we have this woman here called Mia, where she says she loves Diddy, but at the same time she claims to have suffered some kind of sexual assault. So she actually says she was raped. And then she and Cassie attended a party hosted by Prince. So that's what I keep saying, right? That's what I keep saying. How do you get yourself in these circumstances? Let's see. So she's at an event with Cassie, hosted by Prince, and Diddy came with bodyguards and beat Cassie until Prince's security intervened. And then she says that her work was challenging, including a 24-hour first shift. Okay, and she was unable to leave his house. Okay. So where is the rape here? So this guy comes and snitches, whatever. He and Cassie were dating. So if Cassie is stuck in this maelstrom of this prison where she can't see anybody, she can't have relationships, how then was she able to start dating Kid Cudi? How? So as I said, the case is actually designed to distract you from what is being charged with. Sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, right? So a lot of the actions we're seeing is coercion. It can also be force, right? But the sex trafficking, is it Cassie that is being sex trafficked, right? Because Cassie is testifying as a sex trafficking victim. But this is somebody with whom you're already in a relationship, in a sexual relationship, and perhaps she has a place in New York, and Diddy is in LA, and he wants his girlfriend to come and see him. So he sends a jet to go and pick her up and bring her to him, right? So she can call that trafficking, right? By force, fraud, or coercion, force is where the Kid Cudi thing comes in. But as I said, they already established a sexual relationship, right? So if you can find a way, if the prosecution can find a way to tie those things together, then they can prove a case. Now, what's the other one? Racketeering is a little bit strange. That cannot go anywhere. I've not seen anything that lends to racketeering unless we can properly define what racketeering means. But transportation to engage in prostitution, as I said, that's easy. I've not seen a defense yet, and we'll see what the defense is. But in their case so far, they've established transportation to engage in prostitution. So, force, fraud, and coercion. You have those beatings, those alleged beatings, and all those kinds of things. So that's force, that's coercion. That may also be fraud. Oh, well, that's not fraud. So, yeah, okay. So see, using Cassie's texts, the defense have portrayed her as a willing participant of the freak-offs, although she clarified her emotional reluctance. I felt it's an emotional reluctance. But while we're talking about hard facts, hard text, she expressed her willingness, but she's maintaining her emotional reluctance. Is I able to dislodge? I'm not sure. So, Cassie revealed that Diddy purchased the rights to her book, The Dark Times, for $20 million. And she recently reached a settlement with the hotel. Even though that hotel, the prosecution is still using the footage despite the $10 million settlement. So the $10 million settlement is meaningless, so she really got $30 million. 10 from the hotel, 20 from Diddy. Now, Don Richard says that he hit her on the head, hit Cassie on the head, and beat her on the ground. Okay. What else did she say? She didn't say anything else. So she didn't even say much, the Danity Kane person. Even though she personally accused him of rape. I guess she can't start bringing her own evidence unless she wants to use it in her own case. But Cassie's pregnant with her second or third child, probably. So, okay, so I think that's pretty much it for the case so far. For defense, in light of the evidence, what kind of strategy? You need to establish that those people who came willingly offered their services, right? I am an escort. I can travel to meet you, and coincidentally, if you want to have sex with me, we can come to an arrangement. So I called you on the phone, and you said, "Oh, I can come and meet you." That's basically the only way you can do it, right? You get your defense witnesses, and I don't even know who's going to take the stand because Diddy should not take the stand. If he does, it's going to be very, very difficult. So he needs his team, his people. He needs someone that can come and take the stand and say that these people, all these women, they came out and offered their services to us. And they said that they would like to come and spend time with me. And they agreed that we will pay a fee. Because that's how escorting works. Escorting is, I'm not paying you for sex. I'm just paying you, I'm just arranging your means of transportation to come and see me What we do between ourselves is a private and non-disclosed matter. That's the truth behind escorting. So it's very different from a prostitute, like a pimp who is, moving women across state lines for sexual purposes. But an escort, and that's the word they've been using. They're using the word escort, escort, escort. So these are people who are willingly offering these services for personal time. So if they can establish that, I think he can escape some of these charges. He can right now, let's say it's about 70% proof. If they can bring up their own case to about 45, 50%, I think then he can actually go. But that has to be the strategy. Because that's the only case here. The only case here is sex trafficking. So with Cassie, they've established that there's no force, fraud, or coercion. They are in a sexual relationship together. So if I'm flying my girlfriend out to have sex with me in the hotel, it's not trafficking because we are already in a sexual relationship that has spanned this number of years. So we are together. We are in a relationship. Look at us. We're taking all these photos together. So after a night like this, we'll go and have sex together. Even though she flew in from her modeling shoot, which I got her. She's modeling in Puerto Rico. And I said, okay, come to Florida for a party. And we take these photos together and have sex together afterwards. That's not trafficking. We're in a relationship. So that has to be his defense. So he needs good competent witnesses who are able to establish that. So maybe like a personal assistant who schedules the flights, who has the proof of communication with Cassie to say, okay, Diddy wants you to come. Are you willing to come? She says yes. That throws out the case completely. So let's see what else we have. I think that's pretty much it. But let's just see what we have in terms of bonus content. Okay, so I started this Diddy video by talking about consent. And look at this headline from the Metro out in the UK. April 25th, 2013. Headline: Sex with consent can still be rape. This is truly, actually, the end of the video. Could have started this at the beginning, but this is the end of the video. A man could be convicted of rape even if the woman agreed to have sex. Judges ruled yesterday. This was right before Me Too. We don't need to read the rest of it, and it's irrelevant. But it says he will still be guilty if he did something she asked him not to do. So what does that mean? Her consent was negated. So she agreed to have sex, but she said, don't spank me, and he spanked her, therefore it's not sex. Therefore it's rape. So make of that what you will. So let's see.
Diddy parties? Yeah, I've been in attendance.
Okay, so just to clarify very quickly, right? Because of this case and the body oil, body lotions, baby oil, there's something called the Diddy party. And through my discussions personally about what the Diddy party is, and if you listen to this, this gives you the clue as to what the Diddy party is. Let me explain. Just watch this. Let's watch this again.
And I said, yo, which, like, yes.
Because no, I heard about this actually.
Bro,
like I heard,
no. This conversation we're kind of being like facetious and beating around the bush.
Joking completely. But yeah.
No, so I heard this, and I'm not gonna mention names, obviously out of respect, but it was a good friend of mine, which you guys know.
And we asked that person. Yeah, we were all just partying, hanging out, listening to music. Every single girl in that restaurant left the table that they were at.
Yep.
So we're at this place called Cipriani, and there are women everywhere, many of them with one man at the table. One man, 5 women. One man, 8 women. Strange. So there's so many women at these tables.
Odd, right?
So we have our dinner, and we're hanging out, and the vibe is going way up on this night. It's our first night in Ibiza. And we start looking around. We're like, wow, that's impressive. Wow, that's impressive. Which table are we going to go to talk to try to get girls to come back and like all party and people that come back to party at the hotel? You know what the answer is, George? Every single fucking one of them. Every single girl in that restaurant left the table that they were at to come back to our double penthouse hotel in Ibiza. So we go back with about 60 people. 60 people.
Did you hear that? They went to a restaurant called Cipriani's in Ibiza, and they saw girls sitting at tables, and there's a guy for each girl, for each table, and they were like, wow, these girls are so wonderful, they're so good looking. And they went back to their apartment, and all the girls came with them. Let's continue.
How'd you fit them all in this Uber?
We walked.
One Uber.
Right. Called feet. Called our feet. It was a flying toboggan. We go to this hotel, to this double penthouse, Logan and another associate of the trip. And we asked that person. We're all just partying, hanging out, listening to music. Everybody's enjoying their spirits, having a good time. And we asked that person, hey man, what's the deal with these girls? Like, what's their deal? Like, they're from all different countries. Like, how did they get here? Who are they with?
They're all from different countries. How did they get here? This video explains everything. I'll tell you how.
And he was like, they're all mahi-mahi.
What?
They're all mine?
Mahi-mahi.
A code word that he had been throwing around for working women. And we said to ourselves and to each other,
I want you to hear that again. They're mahi-mahi. And Mike calls them working women. The Diddy case calls them sex workers. Another witness called them escort. Nobody used the word prostitute. Nobody used the word immoral purpose. Nobody used the word debauchery. I'm trying to get you guys to understand. So, mahi-mahi, working women, these are words that we are using. We're not trying to avoid breaking the law. We're trying to keep our conversation civil by discussing this personal, private thing that all people do, relatively, without using legal terms. Rather, we're using social terms. So everybody knows what mahi-mahi means. Everybody knows what working women means. Everybody knows what escorting means. But you can't say, oh, I'm escorting to my father. You can't say sex worker. So it's like you're hiding things from your dad. As I said, it's a social, I don't use the word term social construct, but it's a social construct. While describing activities that normal, beautiful, regular girls are participating in. How can Logan and Mike leave a hotel with 60 people back to the penthouse? How is that possible? Did he go to all 60 of them and say, you, let's come? No, they are looking for work. It's a job. It's a job. Sex workers. They are sex workers. So it's a commercial activity that they are voluntarily participating in. Let's continue.
that's not possible.
There's no
man.
way,
These
bro.
girls are like multi-million follower.
Multi-million follower. Let's hear that again.
And we said to ourselves and to each other, that's not possible.
There's no
man.
way,
These
bro.
girls are like multi-million follower, hot Brazil, like smoke shows, dog. Smoke shows. Like when we saw the two at that table, that was wifey getting you a green card. You're coming back to America, and we're setting up a family on first sight, dog.
Oh, question for you guys. Did these girls have an Instagram presence?
We don't know. So, which is odd because normally you'd get in that conversation, but we didn't do that. So I asked.
Because no, I heard about this actually.
Bro,
Like I heard,
no. This conversation, we're kind of being like facetious and beating around the bush.
Joking completely.
But
completely.
But
Yeah.
No, so I heard this, and I'm not going to mention names, obviously, out of respect, but it was a good friend of mine, which you guys know, I'll mention after the podcast. He had a girlfriend, and she, like, got guilty and, like, exposed herself and her friends, and they're really big on
yo,
Instagram.
George, we know.
Okay. The guy has a girlfriend, and she felt guilty and told her boyfriend that this is what I'm doing. I am flying around. I'm making myself available. I'm calling myself an Instagram model, but actually, I'm just a small harlot that gets flown out for different things. Let's continue. This video solves the Diddy case completely.
No,
Yeah,
that's
we
what
know now.
That's the takeaway. from
We
this
know
video.
now.
No.
So I asked the question. I said, "Yo, which just by the way, once again, like you said, out of just curiosity and halfway joking, which one of these girls is here like working?" And his answer, all of them.
All of them. All 60 girls were offering their services. They're offering their services. So where's the crime? Let's continue.
Every single girl. I said, "Brother, that's not possible.
There's no way.
There's no way. These are stunning women." I said that's not possible.
There's no way.
There's no way. These are stunning women. I said that's not possible. So I said those two over there. It's not possible. Me and Logan been looking, saying, yo, these girls are absolutely stunning. He walks over, has a conversation, comes back 5 minutes later, 1,500. I said, what the fuck did you just say to me? 1,500. And a flight to Vienna after. I said, what the fuck did you just say? How is that fucking possible, bro? How?
So he saw two girls and he asked them, okay, how far, how much? And they came back and they said 1,500 euros. Guys, just to get back on track, a Diddy party is a party where those girls who show up at the party, where are they? These girls, normally, when you go to the party, like he said, the girls were already there at the restaurant. They already came back with them to the penthouse. Now, at the party, you want food, drinks, sometimes drugs, all the time sex, right? Now, the thing is, these two guys, they are asking, oh, how much for the girls? And they're getting the information back that the girls are 1,500 euros each for the night, right? A Diddy party is one where those girls, that is, these girls are already paid for. So you, as a special exclusive guest, the girls are already in. They've already signed the NDAs. You two, you already understand as someone in the industry that you are under an NDA, just generally, right? And the girls too already signed their NDAs. So you can just go straight in for the sex. You don't have to start negotiating and having an awkward conversation about how much it costs. That is the difference. That is what a Diddy party is. So when you had all those VMAs, all those awards, and when you had Fat Joe and everybody at MTV saying there's no party like a Diddy party.
For the next 53 seconds, we'll take an in-depth look inside Diddy parties.
Diddy once threw a party on a jet flying around the world. Now, it started on a Tuesday and somehow ended on the previous Sunday. I don't know how he did that.
Now that I'm engaged, I've decided to slow down a little. 3 Diddy parties a week. Maybe 4. Well, not including the weekends.
Well, I remember one day we went to this Diddy party. Well, what happened? Lil Jon forgot his pimp cup. Yep. D-Rock went to Diddy and asked.
It's hard to say which is more off the hook. A Diddy party or a Diddy after party. Or a Diddy after party, which is basically a pre-party for the next Diddy party.
This is an element of it. The fact that you go there, you are guaranteed food, you are guaranteed drink, you are guaranteed sex. Because the girls are all paid for. You don't need to have any awkward conversations. Let's see how the story ends.
How is that pen? Of course we didn't pay it. Of course we don't do that, but like...
Just have a bunch of IOUs?
It's just, yeah.
Nah, you can't. But we were stunned at how true his statement was, and we later found out even like some people who are like very well known.
Some people who are very well known. Wow. 21 million followers.
Yeah.
Have a price.
Very well known,
Have
George.
a price.
Very well
You
known.
guys want to hear the story that
They are very well known and they have a price.
I heard?
So if you are well known, Cassie, you are well known, Daphne Joy, you are well known, Young Miami, you are well known. Was the one under Young Jesus label. You are well known. Daphne Joy, all these people. You have a price.
Yeah.
So
I think
the
I couldn't
reason why
take a
she
risk.
confessed, and mind you, none of this is proven by me. I haven't seen, I haven't heard, but like, bro, he came to my house crying, telling me this shit, dude. Like, so like that shit, it hit hard. But basically what I heard, one of her friends, I'll just get to that part. She went to a certain area in the world and did some things for cash.
Yeah.
That she's probably not proud of, nor would her parents be proud of. And I don't know if she was absent-minded or maybe she didn't really know about the border transaction. You can't bring cash.
Oh, yeah, 10K.
So she had $150,000.
Well, I'm sorry.
$150,000. Someone was collecting $10,000 a month, right? Where is she? Someone signed the love contracts for $10,000 a month, right? $10,000 a month. This woman collected $150,000 for probably 3 days. Probably.
Oh, yeah, 10K.
So she had $150,000.
Well, I'm sorry. Who the fuck was it, dude? Fergie?
$150,000
Fucking Fergie. Madonna?
a few
Who we talking about,
jobs that she did.
A few jobs. This person has a boyfriend. This person is a normal person. If they're friends with Georgianko, then, They are probably famous too. $150,000.
Just say the name right now.
I'm not saying it.
We'll bleep it out.
I don't know the girl's name. I know the guy who went through this. Jesus Christ.
It wasn't. Imagine you find out your girl fucks for cash, fam.
Bro, you're beeping his name, right?
Yeah, of
Oh
course.
my God.
Hold on. Wait, stop for a second. Before we go any further here, no, like the same way, I feel like sex workers in that space are just as acceptable and as accepted as sex workers in the space that we generally talk about nowadays.
Whoa,
which is like OnlyFans and-
whoa. It depends who you're
sorry,
saying.
Okay, so I think that we can conclude on that, right? He is saying that, okay, we have something called sex workers now. We have something called sex work. We have something called OnlyFans, right? So has this law, this understanding of transportation to engage in prostitution, this understanding of sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, has this caught up with the understanding that people are willing to do these things for?
We're in this place called.
It hasn't caught up because on OnlyFans, we have, the women are there offering sexual services, are they not? So if you say, for example, on OnlyFans, you pay X amount of money and she comes to see you, that means that you are trafficking. She is there on the website offering her services, just like Instagram. Just like Instagram. Modeling. Began her modeling career at the age of 14. Oh man, you guys. So please, let's continue.
Attendance.
He just asking regular
That's all I
questions.
said. That's all I said. I said I've been in attendance. I have been in attendance.
We never been. We just asked him. We just
Yeah. As soon as you asked, he said.
You had fun? I ain't seen that.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I had fun. Yeah, I mean, it was a party. I wasn't at one of them parties.
We ain't say nothing about the party. What party you talking about?
I have been in attendance at a puff party. You know what I'm saying? I've been in attendance. Yeah, I went. But I ain't. Yeah, nah. I don't know which party. The party I went to, it was girls turning up. You know what I'm saying? The regulars. You know what I mean? Other celebrities.
It was girls. As we said, the girls are paid for.
Will be exposed.
So anyways,
Justin, he's in UFC.
I don't want to talk about this because this is a little bit strange and painful. So let's just move on.
I've been to probably everyone. I've been to every puff party. I've been to every white party since 2009. I've been to every party, and
You just go in the wrong. You go in the right room, not the wrong room.
I don't think there's rooms, Chad. I'm gonna be honest. Now look, I'm gonna be very, very transparent on the show. If these freak offs are happening, it's on a completely different day than the actual puff parties.
Okay.
It's not that day because every time I was there, Puff was there the whole time. You know, he got the Ciroc, he's on the DJ booth, he's the host of the party. I will say that. Now, I've had this conversation with Ray J. Ray J's one of my best friends. I said, Ray, did they have
Wait, who is that right there? Doesn't that look like Cassie? Okay, all right.
ever invite you to a freak off? Because they never invited me. And I done been at these parties. I just feel like, why I didn't get the invite?
Because they know you don't get down like that.
Maybe they know I don't get down like that. Okay, cool. But you would think.
So, okay. So, this girl, Cassie here, is crying that she's participating in freak offs. This girl here is saying, why didn't I get invited? So, I want you guys to think very deeply about these things. Where's the other one? This one is jealous. Where is she? Daphne Joy is jealous that Young Miami gets to travel around. Meanwhile, Daphne Joy only does freak offs. Where is this one here? This one is saying, why didn't I get invited to the freak offs? What are we saying?
And I done been at these parties. I just feel like, why I didn't get the invite?
Why didn't I get invited, guys? So think very deeply about it. So I think we should wrap up very soon. We've gone quite far. So this guy's explaining very well.
In Los Angeles, he got arrested for pimping. All right, so so Choppa from New Orleans, he's gonna sound definitely like New Orleans, is gonna give the scoop about Sarah getting fucked by Diddy. Here we go.
Your bedmate Sarah, she did an interview for a documentary saying that Diddy violated her. You seen it?
I'm gonna be honest. You heard me? I can't be a person that I can't do that. I just can't be fake, bro. So I'm gonna keep it G. It's all respect and love for Sarah, you know. But at the end of the day, I would say I don't think that's true, because at the end of the day, Diddy used to come down. We had the making the band penthouse. This when we already made the band. You did. Diddy used to come downstairs like 3, 4 in the morning, bro, and tell Sarah like, "Come on," and she'll get up and she'll go with him, and then she'll come back down about 4 hours later, hair messing, makeup all smeared up, drunk, and look like she got fucked. Period. And she did that at least 3 to 4 times, multiple times. So I don't think that that's true that man violated her. I think that she was ecstatic, she was bucked up, and she couldn't wait to fuck him. And that's just my opinion. And everybody used to talk about Sarah fucking Diddy anyway around the Bad Boy office. I just don't feel like Sarah was telling the truth because I seen it with my own eyes, Diddy fucking on that girl multiple times, and she was not feeling violated or nothing. She was happy. And she thought that, you heard me, courtesy of her fucking on him, that she was going to get privileges, and Diddy drew her to the side like she was nothing.
That is it, guys. That is all this is. The lawsuits, the criminal charges, whatever the case may be, it is when a woman has been fucked and she believes that she deserves more. So she comes out and says, "You raped me." She comes out and says, "Oh, yeah, I was raped," or whatever. But that's just not the case. In the moment, she is willingly participating, she is fully engaged, and then afterwards, when she gets married, when she tries to become a mother or whatever the case may be, then she turns around and says that I didn't consent. So shout out to Coach Greg and this guy for exposing the truth. It's difficult to speak the truth today. That's why we're here.
But speaking of the bit,
So that's that. Anyways, thank you guys so much. I did not want this video to be too long, but as I said, it's the reason we talk about it is because today we're looking at Diddy, we're looking at Harvey Weinstein. Trust me, tomorrow it could be any one of us, because this is just male activity. We all watched Fast and Furious growing up. We're watching music videos. All those girls in music videos, who are they? Are they actually literally there just to look around and just dance for the camera? Do you not have parties after the videos are shot? So a hot girl just comes and grinds and twerks on you for 3 hours during a music video, and you just say bye, thank you for coming. We all watched the music video for, what was it, Tip Drill, Right There, all these, so we've been watching music videos, we're watching movies with all these women who are there as sexual objects, and we've been sold this fantasy of having money and having cars and obviously having bitches who will just come and populate your house and are able to offer you sex on command. And we've seen it that Diddy and many other people are able to make this dream come true. Diddy did it by being a music producer who's able to get the hottest girlfriends he wants at whatever age he pleases, and he's able to have sex with them for 10, 15, 20 years consistently. Harvey Weinstein did it by being a movie producer, and all the hottest movie actresses have sex with him and love him and take pictures with him, from Meryl Streep to freaking Angelina Jolie to whoever, even freaking Gavin Newsom's wife. So it's clearly a masculine imperative to want to have sex with as many women as possible, and you only do that by having money. What does that mean? That means that if it's money that gives you access to these women, it means that you have to pay, right? And if these women live in another country or in another state, you have to arrange for their movement to come to you. What does that mean? That means that charge of trafficking, interstate travel, what was it? Of interstate travel is a crime. That means we're all going to prison. So any coordinated scheme, all right, but they call it conspiracy. He's charged alone. Who's he conspiring with? We don't know. Guys, I apologize once again. I hope that you've gotten enough information to not let you be led astray. I want you guys to understand that this case is not just a regular trafficking case. This is a case that is against what men are, what men want, and the vagaries that have been introduced by this myth of consent. Because, as I've said, consent has given people the power to withdraw, to put you basically in a precarious legal position, despite having an agreement. Someone had a love contract, and she's coming out to testify against the person with whom she had a contract. For God's sake. He upheld his end of the bargain by paying her $10,000 a month. but she's in court testifying against him for paying her $10,000 a month. How does that make sense? How does that make sense? So, thank you guys so much for joining me on this journey. Let me know in the comments which other legal issues you'd like me to discuss. As I said, it's not just a legal issue, it's also a social issue. So, with that being said, thank you so much for listening. See you in the next one. Out.
The Diddy Party legend continues tonight at 8 p.m. 7 Central.
The best guy at synthesizing has just been hitting these things out of the park.